Hello everyone, welcome to a GT Sport Daily Race C race review from this week's Daily Race C, which is Group 4 at Brands Hatch Grand Prix Circuit. In this one we are going to take a Mustang out and mix it with those pesky Megans. So the settings for this one, 13 laps to get round, fuel at ×2, which is not an issue, tyre wear at ×6, just the racing medium tyres available, and we have the mandatory pit stop where you don't have to change the tyres, and if you're in the cars that you can see kind of mostly dominating the grid here like the Megane Trophy, then changing the tyres is not really an issue. If you're in something like the Mustang that we are in, then changing the tyres might be a slightly better option. It would remain to be seen whether we choose that option or not. But as you probably have noticed, we're on the Womble Sheriff account, we're on the US server, we're in the Mustang, and we're starting all the way in P20. And I wanted to kind of bring this race to you because I think it kind of highlights the good side of GT Sport. I think there's far too many videos out there where people highlight bad driving. To be honest with you, it kind of is the same story for most racing games out there. People prefer the carnage, but sometimes it's just good to sort of demonstrate that it's not always carnage. There's some good driving and some nice clean driving, and not every race descends into a bump fest. Certainly not in my experience anyway on GT Sport. So in this one we're going to have some nice sportsmanship from other drivers, good sensible driving. We have a lovely battle with one of the Megans, and of course it's Brands Hatch, so it wouldn't be Brands Hatch if there wasn't a little bit of soul collecting from this brutal circuit. So let's jump on board our Ford Mustang. Now apologies, I actually forgot to record the actual race footage, so I'm having to bring you this from the replay camera. Not too much of a problem when you're kind of in the cockpit camera because it looks very much the same, but yeah, the black bars at the top and the bottom are a little bit annoying in my opinion. But yeah, apologies for that, not a lot I could do about it. So yeah, in the Mustang here, certainly not a car you would think would be particularly suited to this circuit. It's a very much a handling circuit, so the nimble cars like the Renault Megane Trophy, the Toyota 86 that we did the strategy guide in, tend to be the best cars around here. The Alfa Romeo seems to be very quick as well, but it's also a very tricky car from what I'm seeing once that tyre wear really starts to kick in. But we make up a couple of positions there at the end of lap number 1. There's a little bit of an instant into the last corner here, and a couple of cars pitted. So we're up to P13 now, and we're now on the back of the Brazilian here in the non-liveried Renault Megane Trophy. You're going to see the difference between a Mustang and a Megane down this relatively short straight, no competition whatsoever, and fair play to the Brazilian driver who doesn't try to fight it very hard at this early stage in the race. Nice to see. I'm not saying you shouldn't fight other drivers, but I think I'm always a big proponent of, you know, picking your battles, realising when, you know, it's worth putting that fight up against the other car, or if you can just accept the other car is just clearly quicker than you at that point, then you'll lose much more time overall by just letting that driver by in a sensible manner and getting on with your race without having that pressure behind you. Onto the back straight here on lap number 4, up against an Alfa Romeo. This time you can see again the Mustang versus the Alfa Romeo, no contest whatsoever, and again credit to the American driver there for not fighting that one at all. Again, just good sensible driving in my opinion, and one lap later we're going to dispatch of the other Alfa Romeo in a very similar circumstance. Takes us a little bit longer down the straight this time, but again the Brazilian doesn't fight it, lets us up the inside, actually lifts off early into the corner to just slot back in nicely behind us, and cost neither driver any real time. So again, in my opinion, just good sensible driving. Next position is gained from Brands Hatch, taking its first sole of this race, or certainly the first sole in front of us, but I can assure you it's not going to be the last one. So moving forward here to P7, and we are on the back of a couple of Renault Meganes here who are fighting very hard indeed. Not yet made our mandatory pit stop. The driver in front had just come out of the pits, Buck there, so they were clearly, you know, a pit stop ahead of us, and with these two battling the way they were, I thought, yeah, definitely time for us to try and come into the pits now, try and see if we can well, not necessarily undercut these drivers, but yeah, look like we're going to be losing a lot of time behind those two. Unfortunately, Siri here, the Brazilian driver in the purple Megane, also makes the same decision. Not ideal. I was looking for a little bit of clear track here, but we came out behind this purple Megane, and also the Brazilian driver that we passed earlier on in the other Megane. We're going to get a run down the outside here. I don't blame City. On this occasion, we are on lap number 8 now. They both made our pit stop, so I can understand fighting this one. And going to see a lovely bit of side-by-side driving with the Brazilian. Leaves us the space on the exit. Keeps it defensive into this corner here, but we just slot in behind because it's just not a good idea to really fight too hard with a driver through this section of the track. It's very much a single file. If you can't go side by side obviously, but the time loss is just not worth it in my opinion. So we slot back in and we'll try and fight this one a little bit later on. So we're getting a bit of a slipstream here down towards the last lap. Now it definitely looked like we had a little bit of a pace advantage here, and it looks like Siri there doesn't have the slipstream as we come onto the main straight. So this is an opportunity for our Mustang to unleash that grunt, get those ponies roaring, and see if we can make a move around the outside. Again, Siri defending this one, and again, as I said earlier, nothing wrong with fighting for your position, but pick your battles wisely. And on this occasion, we're on lap number 9. We've both made our pit stop. I understand why the Brazilian is fighting this one quite hard, trying to hang it around the outside of the hairpin on a Megane in the Mustang. Not going to work out great, you know, just a sort of complete difference in grip. Unfortunately, Brands Hatch steps in and decides to end this battle earlier. Very, very easy accident to do. Just dip a wheel on the dirt and off you go at the exit of Graham Hill Bend. And a few laps later, we were to make up another position in exactly the same manner as Tony in the Megane, and an absolute carbon copy of the accident. Now, we are not alone. A couple of races later, we actually had a very, very similar accident ourselves. Just very easy to do, just get a little bit too wide on Graham Hill Bend, and you lose a grip, the back end steps out, and before you know it, you're into the barrier. But it's now lap 12 of this race. We're up into P7. Not a bad race from P20. Tried to catch the buck in front of us, who kind of were catching after our pit stop. Not entirely sure why they are so close to us. Couldn't do much about them. The Mustang tyres now severely fading. We made that pit stop, didn't change the tyres, but Brands Hatch did have one last soul to claim right at the end of the race. Ghost Vipers there in the Alfa Romeo has came a cropper over the blind crested right hander. Again, such an easy place to have one of those accidents, such an easy track to have an accident. If you're not having an accident in Brands Hatch at least a couple of times this week, then you're not trying hard enough, as they say. But we held on for P number 6 there. Not a bad race from the rear of the grid, and yeah, just a nice race in my opinion. Some good driving. I loved the sensible driving some of the drivers we passed earlier on. Lovely battle with Siri in the Megane, and Brands Hatch living up to its reputation as well. So hopefully you've enjoyed that one. If you have, please hit that like button, please hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and I shall see you on the next one. Goodbye now.